Okay, so we're on the record. Thanks for joining us. I'm Bren of Garden Chat Live, and I'm really excited today. I have Andrea here. Hey, Andrea.
How are you?
Not too bad so far. I'm anxious to get outside and garden, and that's what you're going to help us with today, right?
That's right. I'll do my best.
All right. So Andrea is from Beanstalk Seeds. You guys are a fairly new company, right?
We are. So Beanstalk Seeds is kind of a new kind of entrepreneurial part of Kansas City Community Gardens. And Kansas City Community Gardens has been around for 35 years. So our experience with gardening and working with kids is definitely not new. We work with about 250 community groups here, 200 schools. We have about 4,000 visitors to our Beanstalk garden each year, and we work with about 4,000 home gardeners as well. So we know a lot about seeds and plants, as you can imagine. So we've kind of taken that knowledge and wrapped it up all together to start the seed company so that more people can have access to the seeds we enjoy.
Very cool. And before we went live, you kind of shared with me a little bit. I could see pictures from your little one. You have
Yeah,
kids. You have a child
I do.
or two. Two?
Three. So
Three.
three, yeah. I do. And, you had earlier kind of, talked when we had met before about, when is it too early to kids for have kids start gardening? And I was thinking all of my kids were in me, were in my womb when while I was working here. I've been working here. This is my ninth year, and my oldest one's 6, my middle one's 3, and then I have a 6-month-old as well. So they know about gardening, and even last night we were planting in our garden with the little one strapped on my front. So
That's fun. Yeah, so I mean, that was one of my questions. That's great. I mean, definitely, I'm a mom. My kids are older, but I had them right out there. I think I like your strap idea. That way, they're not in there grabbing dirt, right?
they will grab anything they can.
Super fun. So, what would you recommend if we've got some new moms out there that are watching us today? What would you recommend them start growing with their kids? Like, how do they get gardening with them?
Right. Well, we've gardened with, through our schoolyard garden program, we've worked with a wide range of ages of kids, plus my own
Mhm.
kids. And I'd say my 3-year-old is just now getting the hang of, how to get seeds in the ground. And he does a lot better with the big seeds like the peas. We planted some kohlrabi last night, which were really tiny seeds, and those all ended up in a heap. Um, so it kind of is just about your gardening philosophy and your patience. If you, I kind of I instruct my kids and give them the best instructions I can, but they don't always get it.
Yeah.
Usually I have them hold out their left hand and then I pour seeds in there and have them use their pinchers. I tell use your pinchers for good instead of bad today. And then pinch them out in the row as best they can. But sometimes you have to go back in and fix it a little bit. So after we garden, I go back and kind of piece the missing seeds in where
Yeah.
or if things don't all come up, or you might require a little extra thinning. But I think it's worth it in order to get them out there and be able to do it. If they've grown it, then they're much more likely to be excited about it, feel ownership over it,
Right.
and then eat the food that they grew, right? So that's what
Yeah. I know some adults who I have to go back in and kind of fix what they've done.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
exactly.
it's a great practice, and I think it's a good way to not discourage them from gardening.
Yeah.
It's funny they sometimes forget, but sometimes they remember. They'll be like, wait, I thought I put that sunflower right here.
Yep.
That's
It was
okay.
the first preschool when I started here. The first preschool I started planting in were little itty bitties, and I remember they planted the same broccoli plant about 4 times. First, they put it in wrong way. And then we finally got it in the right way, and a kid picked it up, and we dug another hole and planted it again.
Oh my gosh.
It was a miracle that broccoli survived, but
Right?
yeah.
No kidding.
It's part of the wonder of planting in the garden, I think.
Oh, definitely. So you've got some pretty cool things going on your website, not to mention some really colorful, fun varieties of seeds. Do you have a personal favorite?
Well, my personal
That's
favorite of all time would probably be the Easter egg radishes. I've always loved radishes. I mean, I grew up gardening, and if you talk to my dad for more than 10 minutes about me gardening as a kid, he'd tell you about how I went up there and ate all the radishes out of our garden when I was 3. So I've always loved radishes, and the Easter egg ones are really cool because they're purple and white and pink and red.
Yeah.
They're a little bit bigger, and they're not quite as spicy, so they're perfect for kids to eat. And they go so fast that it's kind of that instant gratification. And I think you need that when you're starting a garden. Like, let's get something in and get something out.
Right.
It's a long time sometimes. Like, waiting for a tomato is sometimes painful because you just want a fresh tomato. But the radishes go fast. They're really cool to dig up because they're different colors. They taste good. So that's one of my favorites. I think one of my newer favorites are the dragon tongue beans. And my kids love them. And I think they're cool because you can eat them raw. My 6-year-old and my 3-year-old, who like superheroes and all things cool, think it's awesome that they're called dragon tongue, and they're kind of yellow cream colored with purple stripes, so they really like to grow those and eat them right out of the garden. So that's another favorite, I think, too.
Very cool. Now that's the one you were saying it grows really tall, so you do like a beanstalk out of it or something?
That's not the dragon tongue, that's the purple hyacinth.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So that one's a little different, and also we grow that. I got in trouble one year because I planted the purple hyacinth bean and the gourds in my front yard in the planter, and they just took over a whole yard. My husband, never again, because all the grass underneath was dead. But
oops.
Yeah, they grow. So the purple hyacinth bean grows really great. The flowers are actually the edible part of it. So it tastes just like green beans. And my sons will pick those, put them in a jar, and bring them to school, share them with their friends and the teachers. I dare you to eat this flower, kind of thing. So those are kind of a special thing as well. And
That's real fun.
I think that's part of the reason I love the seed company so much, is because I use all these seeds all the time, and I know how special they can be, and they just add a little bit more fun to gardening. So I think that's one of the reasons.
They've got some
people.
There's some really cute names too. I like whoever picks out these names, like the moon. You've got the ruby moon and sugar Ann.
Yeah,
mouse melon. That's awesome.
And we can't take credit for all the names, but can take credit for kind of curating a really cool collection of seeds.
Yeah.
So I am proud.
Right.
That's not just me. I mean, that's going out. We have 3 schoolyard garden staff that plant with schools and get feedback from the 200 schools we work with and what kids like and don't like. We have, like I said, thousands of kids that tour our Beanstalk Children's Garden every year, and they taste things right out of the garden. So we find out what they like. For example, the French sorrel, kind of a random green, like not a lot of people know about it. But the kids that go through the Beanstalk love it. They think it's so great. It's kind of like the Sour Patch Kid. Yeah. So something that doesn't look that cool and you maybe wouldn't think of, but the kids really gravitate towards it.
Right. Let's see. I know I love your website. You've got the kids on there. They're loving it. I mean, look at this young boy. He's holding up some a lettuce, just a big head of lettuce, right?
That's a canasta. We have those seeds on the site as well. That's an Italian variety, and it's really good, and it's pretty heat tolerant. So as you go into spring, or if it gets hot, a little bit faster, they'll still do pretty good without bolting. And it's got a really good crunchy flavor. So
yeah, I mean. But seriously, when do you ever see kids excited about lettuce?
ahead of it. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about your website as well. You've got some pretty cool activities on there that I never thought of. You've got like a scavenger hunt type thing. I don't know. Can you talk about that a little bit? They're basically ideas to get the kids out in the garden, just different things you can do with them, right?
Exactly. So we didn't want to just provide seeds. We want to be more of kind of a resource for gardening. So when you go and look at a seed variety on our site, there will be a recipe, fun facts about it. So if you want to, learn a little bit more about the nutritional values, you want to learn a little bit more about where the seed comes from, things like that. Share with your family, your kids as you're out there gardening. Those are there. And then, all the planting information as well. And then really wanted to make gardening easy. We realize there's a lot of, I know this for myself that I'm very, very busy. And even though gardening is, part of my job, I also want to have a garden with my family and involve my kids. And it's hard to fit it in when you have two people that are working full time, or even if you're, a stay-at-home mom or dad and you have a lot going on. So we really want to come up with things that are fun for the kids to do in the garden, ways that it's kind of like a recreational place as well. So maybe you don't have to go all the way to the park to do something fun. You can go in your backyard and work in the garden together. Scavenger hunts that I think we recently did a blog about growing in pea pellets. That's one of my favorite things to do. Get those little discs and put them in water and watch them expand. We start our gourds that way at home. We start our zinnias that way at home. Sometimes we do our melons or our pumpkins that way. It just gives them a little bit better start. And it's also nice for working with kids because, you can make sure that you kind of have a plant to plant instead of a seed, which has a lot more variables as far as how much it gets watered and the depth that it gets planted at. When you give a kid a shovel, they start digging for china. So tiny seed in the bottom, the chances of coming up are slim. So that kind of helps take away some of those variables as well.
That's a great idea, especially starting them indoors. Plus, it's a little easier to hold the little plant in the peat pod as opposed to the seeds, right?
We use them a lot too with school gardens, and I don't, also want our website to be a resource for teachers and homeschool parents as well, because things like the school calendar, a lot of schools get out towards the end of May. Well, we need to do as much as we can to get the kids who are working and planting the garden to be able to taste things out of the garden before school.
Right.
So that means that, we might start things like the sugar snap peas. We'll start them indoors a couple weeks earlier so that they have a head start on the growing season and are more likely to have peas to eat by the end of May when they're going on summer vacation.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That might be what probably confuses people most, is knowing what they can actually get out in the garden right now. And so let me remember, what hardiness zone are you guys in?
That's a good
sorry. Okay, what state was it again?
We're in Kansas City, so we're in between Missouri and Kansas, and really don't operate in we obviously operate in a hardiness zone, but we base our planting times that we recommend to people based on average last frost, which kind of varies. And I know that are in the zones as well. But that's
okay, no worries.
Start planting spring stuff around March 15 to March 20, depending on the weather. And then we'll start doing summer stuff towards the end of April. So tomatoes and peppers and cucumbers and all that. Of course, looking at the forecast as well.
Right.
Yeah. So
we're about the same. 5, 6, roughly.
Well, that's been one of the challenges with doing this website is, at Kansas City Community Gardens, we have we try to make really simple tools. So we have like a list of cool season vegetables and a list of warm season vegetables. And we say, pick these and then pick these. and it's pretty easy. And then that's one of our most valuable tools for helping people plan out their garden. But as we expand to look at the country, it's, how do we create resources like that that fit into different zones, into different frost states? And so we've kind of been working on that. I don't think we've perfected that yet, but I also think every seed company kind of struggles with that.
Yeah. That's hard.
There probably will be some more resources coming out as we move into more than our first year, and we hope to
sure
some more friendly things like that.
Definitely. So I just want to note really quickly, you've got a few people in the room with us today. If you're joining us live, thanks for signing on here on Garden Chat Live. And I'm excited. I've got Angela here from Beanstalk Seeds, and we're talking about getting the kids in the garden, children gardening. If you have any questions, please feel free to add them to the chat bar here in this live room, or you can also check out Beanstalk Seeds on Twitter. If you're in the live room, you can just click on the circle there and it'll bring the Twitter up, and you can go right there and tweet away. Or if you're listening later on the playback, it's Beanstalk_seeds on Twitter. So very exciting. So I would say, with it being, we're heading into April, like schools in my area, they could definitely start putting in raised beds or big containers. You could start some of those radishes you talked about, right?
Yeah.
And maybe peas, right? I don't know. Maybe we could give some tips really quick on the different plants that could.
Yeah. So we, as I mentioned, we work with about 200 schools, and about 50 of them are preschool. Wow. So the preschools typically go year round. And so there's a little bit more flexibility about when they get planted and the kind of that they can grow. So they can do things like potatoes and onions and cabbage and broccoli and things that take a little bit longer. If you're growing in a school where you maybe start spring stuff around the middle of March and then go through May, typically we talk to kids about doing salad gardens, and so we're planting things like lettuce, spinach, green onions, radishes, sugar snap peas. We might do some broccoli. You might not get a huge head, but enough to chop up and put in a salad. Our goal is always that we want the kids to be able to taste the vegetables that they grow, and so we want to make sure that happens before the end of the school year. So you want to choose things that go kind of fast. And that's another advantage to some of the seeds that we sell. So like the Mokum carrot is about 10 days shorter than a lot of carrots. The sugar and peas are a short variety, so they only grow about 18 inches tall, and you don't have to trellis them. And they're, I think, are they like 50? They're 60 days. I've seen them grow even faster than that. But you can also plant them in the fall. So we do them in the fall with schools and, home gardens as well. So we have peas in the fall, which is really fun. And a lot of times the cool season crops that you grow in the fall taste better because they're growing into cooler temperatures that they really like versus growing into the summer. So sometimes broccoli, for example, can taste kind of, bad by the time you harvest it if you've had a lot of hot weather in June.
Yes.
But broccoli that's going into the fall that you harvest, in October tastes amazing. And I'd say it's the same with a lot of, the radishes, the sugar snap peas, the lettuce is pretty amazing in the fall. And so I'd encourage people to think about fall gardening if they're able to as well. Whether they're in a school or a home garden, sometimes you kind of run out of steam in the fall. You've planted spring and then you planted summer, and I already got tomatoes and peppers. And so you're thinking, I want to still be out in the garden. And it takes a little bit more attention because you're actually planting, for our zones, you're planting in August and it's hot outside and you have to go out and water those little seedlings almost every day so they don't dry out. So it's a little bit more work, but once you get into September and October, the taste is amazing. And a lot of
Oh, yeah.
for my family, those are the things that I freeze for the winter. We don't do a lot of canning just because I don't have time or quantities to pull all that together. But we freeze
Mhm.
broccoli, kale, and collards. We roast
Wow.
beets and freeze them. And so all those things that you can, grow into the fall, you can grow extra. You can kind of save them for the winter too.
Very cool. Wouldn't that be neat if every school during that fall, parent teacher orientation, when they come in, if they get the kids out there and let them plant something at the beginning of the year,
Exactly. And one of our, a lot of people ask us, so what do you do over the summer with your school gardens? And there's increasingly more programs going on at schools during the summer. But a lot of times we plant sweet potatoes, even if the school is not going to be open. We'll plant sweet potatoes towards the end of the school year. We'll mulch them really good with straw. Somebody maybe commits to watering them once a week if it doesn't rain, but they do pretty good on their own. And we just let them grow in
Yeah.
the fall and then harvest those in the fall. And a lot of times, if there's parent teacher meetings or Thanksgiving celebrations, they're able to eat those sweet potatoes out of their gardens as well. So
That's awesome.
and
That's awesome.
yeah, I'll just mention, a lot of the things that I'm talking about, like broccoli or sweet potatoes, onions and potatoes, we don't sell those on our site. We just do seeds on beanstalkseeds.com. And
Yes.
we might move towards doing more things like broccoli seeds, but those are not as family friendly because we start them in our greenhouse and sell them only as plants. It's too hard to do those as seeds for the average gardener, I think. So, but we still want to give information about how to grow those well. We still want you to have a successful full range garden. So some of the things you may need to go out to your local nursery and get, like a tomato plant or potatoes or things like that. But we still want to give you the information that you need to be successful with growing those things.
Definitely. Yeah, I love your website. One of my favorite things on there are you have recipes. You have some really good recipes. I don't know if we could talk about that a little bit. Who comes up with these? These are great. This amazing beet dip.
Yeah.
Yum.
Well, my coworker, who's also the school garden coordinator, Mariana, made that one for me first, and I fell in love with it. And it's actually a dip that I can get my kids to eat. They won't eat beets plain. They're a little too earthy tasting for them, but they will eat them in this dip. And it's cool because it's kind of pink. You could leave it chunky. So our seeds in the Beanstalk Seeds, we have a beet mix, which has the red and white striped, the red beets, and then the yellow beets, the golden beets, all together, which is really cool. And again, a response to, we were going out and planting beets with schools, and they said, we want some different colors. Well, instead of having 3 different seed packs, let's put it all together and kind of do that mix and match thing. So you can chop them up in this dip and have the colors kind of show through, or you can blend it and the red kind of takes over and it turns into a pink, kind of a pink dip, but it tastes amazing. And it's got a lot of good spring stuff in it. The green onions, the garlic, if you grew the garlic over the winter and you're harvesting that about the same time as the beet. So the cilantro. So I would definitely say to try it. I really like it with tortilla chips, and I'll just eat it for lunch sometimes. But it's also good with veggies, carrots, things like that dipped in there as well. But we have
yesterday lunch before we came on. My stomach's growling now. Sounds good.
I know. And about this time of year, you can talk anybody into eating vegetables because our bodies get tired of eating, the more processed foods over the winter and early spring. But our recipe collection, we've tried almost all of them. We have a chef on staff who also works with our community partner gardens, and she has come up with a lot of these recipes. But yeah, it's just really cool. And we try to pick a recipe that kind of highlights the different cool things about each of the seeds or the plants that they grow. So yeah, I would definitely say to check those out, because that's where a lot of people get stuck too. Like they grow stuff and they're like, okay, beets, what do I do with all these beets? and you can only just eat so many beets plain. So
Right.
good to look them up online, but then sometimes it's like, I don't know if kids will eat this, if it's got a bunch of feta in it or something that seems a little bit more unique. So we try to also pick recipes that we think kids will enjoy as well.
Yeah, you've got quite a few on your website, which is at beanstalkseeds.com. I hope everybody listening or checking us out live today will go over there and just look. You'll definitely want to try some of these seed varieties. They're so beautiful. We should talk a little bit about your kits. Like I'm excited because I'm going to be growing some of your seeds in my garden here in Ohio this year. I have the Plant a Rainbow kit.
Yeah.
And well, let's talk about that one. Or is that okay? Or do you want to talk about? I have the snackable garden too. That's awesome because I like snacks.
Yeah. Well, I can talk about both. The Plant a Rainbow really highlights all the different the seed varieties that we have that boast the different colors. So we have the Rainbow Carrot Blend, which I'll tell you, my kids think that's so cool. And when people ask them about their garden and what they grow, they almost always say rainbow carrots first thing. So the Easter egg radishes, the different beet colors, there's some flowers in there that are different colors. The Swiss chard, which a lot of people know about Swiss chard. The bright lights, just beautiful colored stems on there. In Swiss chard, some people don't know what to do with it, but I think that it's invaluable when you don't have lettuce in your garden as, a topping burger or whatever. It fills in really well there when the spinach and the lettuce can't grow during the hot summer months. So
it's a gorgeous border too. I've been seeing it in a lot of landscapes, even like in cities. Where was I? Atlanta. In Atlanta, they had it out in a major landscape, just tons of Swiss chard. It was amazing.
It's really cool. Yeah. And I think things like Swiss chard and kale are becoming more popular, more mainstream. And so that's great because there's even more resources out there for what to do with it when you grow it, how to eat it, how to prepare it, how to grow it well. So the Plant a Rainbow, I think, is really fun, especially for kids because there's so many colorful things. So they're going to be excited as they dig up the different colored beets and radishes. They're going to be excited about the different colored flowers in there. I think, are the nasturtium in there?
I think they were.
That's another really fun one. We tell our kids that come to the beans garden that that's the hot chip of the garden because they're spicy. They taste really peppery.
Sorry. Loud.
Another cool thing about the nasturtium is their leaves have almost this wax coating on them. So, we're fountain in the garden. And so we'll bring it over and have the kids kind of catch a little water droplet in there and move it around, and it kind of slides and looks like a marble up on top. So it's just a really fun hands-on plant, but the leaves and the flowers are edible, which is really cool, and they're nice and peppery.
Great selection. You've got the red and golden beets. I look everywhere for those golden beet seeds. They're hard to find locally. You have to order them online. That's great. Sunflowers, your Autumn Beauty, Rainbow Blend carrots, your zinnias, the Easter egg radishes in there, your dragon tongue, bright lights, Swiss chard, and the whirly bird mix of nasturtium.
So
I'm not familiar with that one.
They're yellow and orange and red. They're all different colors, and then again, they're edible. The sunflowers are really cool. They don't do as many of the sunflower seeds, but they are a great picking flower, especially into the fall. They just have really, really beautiful colors, and they're smaller. And zinnias have always been my favorite flower, always will be flowers. So, and my kids get really excited about those. Somehow the white zinnia is like the coveted zinnia. So they wait to see what they're going to come up and where the white one is. And we actually saved zinnia seeds this year, which was kind of a fun thing to do with my 3-year-old and my 6-year-old. so that we could plant a field of white zinnias if we wanted to. So
Right.
another fun thing to do with those as well. They're pretty easy to save the seeds from. So
how exciting.
We're going to try to do all of those in one raised bed and take a bunch of pictures of them for the website. So we'll have that as an add-on for next year when people want to purchase those. They can see what it would kind of all look like growing in a 4x12 raised bed together. So we'll map that out.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
we have
go ahead.
We have someone in the chat room, actually, Casey Tomatoes over from Twitter, and he's asking something about a purple variegated tomato. Do you guys have a tomato? No? Yes?
We don't sell a tomato with a beanstalk seed.
Okay.
Well, nope, our sun gold tomato. So we do sell seeds for the sun gold. We would probably tell people that they want to start it indoors in most areas of the country, either under light or peat pellet. I hesitate because, a lot of novice gardeners, you go to the store and you see tomato and pepper seeds and you think, oh, I can just plant all this out in my garden. And there's not as much success growing things like that from seed direct sowing, especially when you get to like April or May. So
very cool. Did you want to elaborate on the other package you have, the kits? Yeah.
So the snackable garden is really great because it's all things that you can eat directly out of the garden without having to go into the kitchen and prepare them. So the goal was that it was just things that are outside. You rinse it off with the garden hose, bring it in, rinse it off, and you can eat it, and you don't have to do a bunch of cooking. So, there's a radish in there as well. The mouse melon is in there.
Yeah.
Tiny little melon that kind of like a cucumber. So
how small are we talking here? Shoot, I should have had a picture of that. Like what's it like? Like this big or baseball?
Nope, small, like the size of a cherry tomato.
Golf ball. Oh wow, smaller than a golf ball.
Yeah, so they're
really crazy.
They are truly pop them in your mouth things. So we just wanted to kind of get an easy collection for people who just want to go out to the garden and kind of graze. As we work with different schools and different parents, it's like sometimes it seems overwhelming to bring it all in and make a recipe, and they just want something where you can walk by and kind of eat out of the garden. So that was kind of the goal with this garden kit, is just to do something pretty easy.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So we have actually Casey Tomatoes in the house. I don't know if he has a question he wants to ask you. Maybe we could let him pop on for a minute.
Okay.
Are you open to that? Let's see. Hopefully I can get you in here. We'll see what happens. He's from our garden chat. He's like the tomato guy. There he is. Hey, guy.
Hi. I'm in a bad spot. I don't like my picture on here. Hi, Andrea.
That's okay.
You know me, right? You recognize me, Andrea?
Yep.
Oh, okay. A couple years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I gave Ben seeds of like the indigo rose tomatoes, but the foliage is variegated too. So if you raise that and sold that, nobody else has seeds like that. You could make quite a bit of money off that because people want that tomato. They beg me for it. But you guys are the only ones I gave it to. I don't know what Ben did with them. If you want more, I'll give you more so you can make money for the garden. Because people buy it off the internet.
That's awesome. I'm interested.
Okay, so you got one sale there. But just, you know how to get a hold of me.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to have Ben search through the piles on his desk to see if he could find that. And but yeah, thanks for
if not, I'll give you new seeds. But well, good luck with it. Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. See you later.
Okay.
Thanks for coming on.
Okay. Bye.
I can click it out. That's awesome. There we go. Very cool. Yeah, he shares some pretty cool tomato plants on social media. And you guys, we talked earlier. You're very new to the social media, and I'll tell you what though, if you need any help, just ask me, because we've got a great community of gardeners online. We really do, and it's great to have you as a part of it. Very cool. So we have quite a few people still in the chat room. If you all have any questions for Andrea here of beanstalkseeds.com, please ask away in the chat room there. And you can also follow them on Twitter at beanstalk underscore seeds. And there it is. And hopefully we can, after this event, actually from now through Monday, we're going to be focusing and sharing a lot from your website, because we're going to be giving away some seeds at Monday's garden chat from y'all, right?
Yep, we would love to give away some seeds to a new gardener, an old gardener who wants to try some new varieties. Love to have everybody check out our site, and feel free to submit the contact form, or email us on there and ask any questions you have about anything. We really want to be more than just a seed company. We want to be really hands-on resource for growing things. So
we have someone in the chat room here, and they're really excited that you're on today. He's having a little difficulty getting his 6-year-old son, I think it is, in the garden. I don't know. Do you have any tips on that?
Well, I have a 6-year-old
boy.
son, and he, yeah. He's probably my best gardener, but he grew up gardening with me, and he's my oldest, so we spent lots of time just me and him in the garden. But I would say the things that have really been cool for him to grow, the gourds. He loves growing the gourds, and we would go check on them every day to see how they're growing. He loved how they took over things. He loved that we started in the peat pellets. We really liked the moonflowers. The moonflowers have almost look like unicorn horns when they're closed up.
Gorgeous.
Up at night, and we would go out and look at the moonflowers at night. So those were really fun, not edible things, but really cool things to get him interested in the garden. Other than that, like the dragon tongue beans I mentioned, really popular with him and with my 3-year-old son as well, because they're just sweet. They're easy to eat right out of the garden. The flowers from the purple hyacinth bean, again, take them to school, share them with their friends. We grow zinnias and bring them to our teachers. So he really has a lot of pride in that. Like, he gets to grow flowers and then bring them to, this classroom and all his friends and say, hey, I grew these. And that,
right.
Actually has been kind of a cool part about it. I think that he takes a lot of pride in knowing how to garden, and maybe not all of his friends know how to do that. And so anytime that we can bring something that he grew and share it with his friends, that's kind of a big deal. So whether it's, a play date, or whether it's, to school, bringing in a bunch of cherry tomatoes, something that you grew out of the garden, flowers for your teacher, that kind of adds that as well.
And what a great way to boost their confidence in school, just to be so proud of something like that. And I've seen kids really open up with experiences like that, or, 4-H projects, or, things like that. We have a Houseplant Guru is in the chat room right now live, and talking about the gourds. She clicked over to your website, and she likes the baby bottle gourds.
Yep, and those are the ones that we grew. I like them because so many grow on one plant. So that's really cool. We dried them out over the winter, and then, put on our gloves, a little bit of bleach water, bleached them off, and then paint some for, Christmas tree decorations. My kids like to bang them around because they kind of rattle. We do all kinds of different stuff with the gourds, and they're, again, kind of a unique thing that you can make and give away to people. So a great teacher gift, a great thing, to give out to grandparents. What grandparent is not going to be excited about a painted gourd from their grandkid? And they grew them, which is really, really cool. I think
that's cool.
Yeah, 2 years ago when we grew gourds out into our lawn, we had over 200 gourds, and so I actually gave them back to work here for our Fall Family Festival. We have hundreds of kids that come, and so they were able to use those for the kids to paint and do things here as well.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to remember those varieties that you said, because I know there's quite a few people who are still into that movement of taking out their lawns and growing food in it. Well, there you go. You go to beanstalkseeds.com and load up.
I hope I can just get my husband on board.
I know, right?
Yeah, this year we're actually going to build a gourd house. I promised my son that we would be able to grow them again. So we tilled up 2 areas there. It's about 6 feet apart, and then added some good compost in there. And we're using the 16-foot long cattle panels to make an arch. And then we're going to
cool.
up the arch. And we'll probably put some of the moonflowers and the purple hyacinth beans, like doing every time, because those will kind of bloom and fill in. And then the gourds hang down through the and it's just magical to be able to walk underneath there.
That's cool. I hope you share it on Twitter. Can you share it on Twitter or your Facebook or something?
Yeah, I'll get Rob to help me. So.
Yeah, that's very cool. We have another question in the chat room. They're just curious what your go-to vegetable might be for kids.
Well, the things that my kids and the Schoolyard Garden kids eat most out of the garden, the rainbow carrots. They really like to eat the rainbow carrots, the sugar snap peas. I'd say they'll try the radishes, but it's kind of a 50-50 on if they like those. Yeah. And then I said sugar snap peas. The broccoli is always really popular too, which we don't sell seeds for, but I would say, if you can get some broccoli plants, if you're planting with kids, broccoli grown in the garden is like a different thing than broccoli from the store. It's just so much more tender, way less bitter. And so if you can convince kids to try broccoli again and switch that thing in their brains where they're like, I don't like broccoli, but like, yeah, and really be able to taste the good garden broccoli. And garden cauliflower is really amazing too.
Yeah. And you're right about the timing, especially if it can get it cool before it gets too hot. I experienced that this winter, and I have a geodesic biodome that I grow in here in Ohio, and the broccoli, just the flavor, I have never, it's so much better when it's grown cool. Very cool.
The Brussels sprouts were funny this year too, because I had a really good Brussels sprout year, which I was excited about, because the last couple years the harlequin beetles have really destroyed them. But my middle son will eat them raw, which I would never think anybody would eat Brussels sprouts raw, but he does. And so I think that we sometimes limit what kids will like or don't like, so we have to be careful not to say you might not like this, or just give it a try, and kind of let them experience it, let them pick it, eat it themselves, kind of give them that freedom to do that. But I'd say probably the 2 most popular ones are the sugar snap peas. It's cool to open them up and eat the little peas inside, eat the whole pod, pull the string back. Those are always popular, and the rainbow carrots are always popular too.
Very cool. So we're getting close to the top of the hour here. People can continue the conversation over. You guys are pretty active on Twitter, I would say. For the most part, right? If anybody still has more questions, please just click on the link there if you're joining us live, and you can go over to beanstalk_seeds on Twitter and ask more questions. And like I said, we're going to be sharing pictures from now through Monday, and hopefully throughout the season, because I can't wait to share mine as they grow. Andrea, do you have another location on the web where people can best get a hold of you?
I think everything is on our website, beanstalkseeds.com. There's links to all our social media there. And then we have a blog that we only have a few posts on, but we're really going to try and be interactive on that. We'll show you some of the stuff that we've grown through this year. And then I'll probably have some pictures of my garden there too, because like I mentioned at the beginning, I'm passionate about these seeds because I grow them with my kids. And there's just a little bit something special about each one that makes them more fun to grow with kids, and actually as adults too. It is more fun carrots than regular carrots. It's just, exciting. And so I think if, we've kind of curated this really cool collection and we want to be able to share that with people. And so, go to our website, ask us questions, social media, over the contact form at our website, check out our blog, get our newsletter. Any questions. We've had people ask us, about vine borers on squash, anything that you can think of that you've had trouble with one of the seeds before. If you have a question about spacing or planting, if it's not working the way you want, ask us. We really want to be interactive, and we're still a really small company based out of a nonprofit. And so we have that garden experience and that availability, I think, to be able to help people successfully grow things.
Definitely. And it's a gorgeous website. So I hope everybody goes over to beanstalkseeds.com and check it out. And as I mentioned before, if you check out hashtag garden chat, follow us over there. You'll see for the Monday night event, two people are going to win a couple of these kits. We have the Snackable and we have the, what was the other one called? Plant a Rainbow. Can't beat that.
No.
Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you for having me.